Greetings and welcome to the Kent Branch May 2021 educational presentation. Thank you all for joining us tonight. My name is Cindy Robichaux and I am the current branch chair for the Kent Branch. Before we begin, a couple of housekeeping items. Our presentations are recorded and available on our Kent Branch YouTube channel. Your microphone has been turned off as well as your cameras, but we welcome your questions. If you hover your mouse near the bottom of your screen, you will see the bar with the chat icon. If you click on it, the chat box will open. Click on the little arrow beside the word everyone and choose the word questions. Here you can type your message or questions for us or for the speaker. Linda Patterson is here tonight to assist with the questions. Thank you, Linda. And of course, we need to thank Kim Barnsdale, the OGS webinar coordinator who organizes and assists with all the OGS Zoom presentations. Thank you, Kim. So let's get started. For anyone joining us for the first time, let me tell you a bit about Ontario Ancestors. Ontario Ancestors has been preserving and promoting family fit history for over 50 years. There are over 30 branches all across Ontario. And Ontario Ancestors is the largest genealogical society in Canada, and there's much more. So be sure to check out their website at ogs.on.ca. And we are the Kent branch of the Ontario Genealogical Society. We focus on Kent County research and general family history. We offer mentoring, education, and assistance for your genealogy research. We hold a monthly DNA study group, and we host monthly presentations as this one. We have a fantastic resource library as well. Our family history library is located on the second floor of the Chatham-Kent Public Library in Chatham. It is a gem of genealogical and historical resources for Chatham-Kent. We are unfortunately currently closed due to COVID, but we are patiently waiting to reopen and welcome you back. We still like hearing from you, so you can contact us at this email on your screen. You can also join the Kent Branch Facebook group. We have over 600 people who are interested in genealogy and Chatham-Kent history. It is a great place to ask a question or share some of your own information. We also have a very comprehensive website with lots of resources for both branch members and the public. This is our website homepage. This section is available to anyone. As you can see, we have a master name index that you can search your family. We have featured resources that we change out monthly. We post news, upcoming events, and new items of interest, such as the McGill County Atlas shown here. If you have not visited our website, we encourage you to come and look around. One big event that's coming in June is the annual Ontario Ancestors Conference. The conference is being held virtually, and there are over 22 sessions to choose from. It is a great educational opportunity. Starting on May 31st, there will be one presentation each night of the week, ramping up to the conference weekend. And this is a listing of the presentations on the Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday prior to conference. Then on Friday, June the 4th, Ontario Ancestors has partnered with Ancestry for a full day workshop that you can participate in. Then on June 4th and 5th, it will be a jam-packed time. There are many educational sessions. Sessions will be recorded and will be available to conference attendees for 30 days afterwards. So be sure to visit the conference website and get yourself registered. Our next Kent Branch event will be our June 11th presentation. Julie McGurka will join us to discuss her research of the history and the people of the town of Merlin. So now let's get to tonight's presentation by James MacNeil. Cemetery Saturday videos allowed people a bird's eye view of the cemetery along with some historical background. The videos were a huge success, leaving many people wanting more. The videos are archived on Life Transitions Facebook page, which is also available to anyone. So let's take a look at that page and we'll watch one of the videos, and then we'll have James tell us about this wonderful initiative. So as I said, this is open to everyone. And we first noticed what was this wonderful video collection that they were putting together, and someone shared it. Actually, I think it was Linda shared it on our Facebook group. And we all became obsessed and we wanted more. So each Saturday he was going out with his gang and doing different cemeteries. So on his Facebook, on the Facebook group, you can see, I think there's 17 videos right now. And, you know, Crawford and the Shanks, they went to Partleville and Owen, Maple Leaf, Riverview, another Maple Leaf one, the Mausoleum in Maple Leaf, Gosnell Cemetery, Christchurch, McVicar, Arnold, St. Michael's, and Greenwood, sorry. So these videos are not very long, but they're very interesting. And as I said, James does give a little bit of history about the cemetery and some of the folks. So we're going to pop into the Arnold Cemetery and we'll watch this one video, and then we'll have James come on and talk to us.
We're at Arnold Cemetery, which is just on Highway 2. If you ever left Chatham and made your way to Louisville, you'd see on the right there's a large Arnold Cemetery sign. As you see, you come in off the road a little bit and you're back here at the historic Arnold Cemetery.
The cemetery is run by a board of directors, trustees, if you will, and they're all appointed from the community. We try to, and they're all volunteer. Right. Everybody's a volunteer. Back in those days, pre-1800, there was no facilities for the little children who happened to be sick. So although the parents are both memorialized here, I'm sure there's lots of kids that died along the way that don't have any recognition at all in the cemetery.
This is open to the public.
That's right, totally open to the public. We're a Christian-based cemetery, and I happen to be the 9th generation, and every one of my ancestors in my branch is buried here. I can go bing, bing, bing.
Wow.
We walk down the cemetery and come back the other side. In 1898, it officially became a cemetery. Previous to that, it was a burial ground, and you could come and be buried here at the generosity of Lewis Arnold. But in 1898, they actually set up a board and bought that piece of land over there from Lewis's son. And then the cemetery actually began. They started keeping records. There are no records for this area right here that we're in.
Feature out here at Arnold Cemetery, which is maybe a little bit unusual for a small rural cemetery, is the installation of these columbariums, as they're called. As we've moved into more and more cremation, Arnold has decided to provide more grave options for those that choose cremation. So you've got your columbarium here, above ground graves.
If you want to remember somebody, that's what a cemetery is all about.
That's right.
You come and you pay your respects.
Yeah, there's something physically on
That's
the
right.
ground.
You can
there's
touch
something
it
here.
That's right.
That was great. As I said, we love watching all these videos. So I will turn it over to James. Welcome, James. We're glad to have you with us. We truly appreciate you taking time out of your Friday night to join us. And tell us a little bit about this project, if you will.
Sure. Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks so much for even asking. I was refreshing my memory, Cindy, by looking at that email that you sent me many, many moons ago. And I remember reading it thinking, oh, this is great. Other people watched it. And so I thank you so much for inviting me. And thanks for your efforts of, I'm just amazed watching you do those slides and all that. You guys have really harnessed the technology well for just civilians like us. So we salute your whole organization and all of your efforts there for sure. But I'm so glad we started by watching Arnold, because it's probably one of my favorite ones for sure. Jim Arnold is a good friend, and I have deep respect for Jim. He's a great guy I've known for years. And he says so much in that video that really was kind of the essence of why we even started this project, with that the idea of deep history, of family history, of even the purpose of a cemetery, these places that we deem with different levels of sacredness for families and whatnot. But that always strikes me when Jim says, there's 9 generations of my family here. All my family are here. I'm thinking, wow, that's probably unusual in larger centers for sure. So we're blessed to be in Chatham-Kent, Kent County, the whole thing, where that's a real thing. And there's many others that at smaller cemeteries that would probably say, could say similar things. I certainly can't, because I got parachuted in to Chatham about 18 years ago. But the short version of why we even where the idea came from, the young man that places the flowers on the stones at the end of every single one of the episodes in season 1, and we can talk about season 2 later. But the young man Wes Nelson that places those flowers on the grave, the whole show was his idea. At that point, he was probably, oh my goodness, probably 4 or 5 months old as a funeral person. He long story, but we were able to find him because we're looking for someone to bring in and to train up as our own type of thing. And so anyway, as the more that at that point last year, as Wes is learning these things and he's coming with me as we're visiting different cemeteries, as we're serving families, and he's constantly saying, I didn't know there was a cemetery here, or oh, that's what that is, or there that is. And he was just this raw, honest fascination and this new world that was opening up to him. He said, you know what, people would be interested to see about these places. We should do a video or do a show. And at first I thought, like, oh yeah, that's kind of cute, kid, but you know who's going to watch that, or that's going to be a lot of work, or how would we do that? And just kind of being an old cranky person at times. And then the more we talked about it, I thought, you know what, yeah, people, my whole 20-year career as an undertaker, people generally are quite fascinated with call them taboo things. Sadly, they shouldn't be taboo things, but people are generally quite fascinated with cemeteries and things surrounding the funeral process or death care, all those kind of things. So anyway, with the help of the young man West, whose idea it was, and thankfully his what is he, 23, and he has a much better grasp on the technology than I do. Yeah, so the editing, and an old friend, Adrian, he's an amateur drone photographer. I reached out to him and I said, this might sound crazy, but we want to try to start this show, and would you fly your drone over a bunch of cemeteries? He said, that is crazy, but I love it. And he jumped in behind the scenes, and so that was kind of the beginning of all those all of the nuts and bolts. Because as you know, producing this Zoom here tonight is a lot of organizing. You live in your regular life, and then you're timing things, and you're getting slides ready, and on and on and on. So we ended up trying to be as organized as we could. We heavily used, and will continue to use, the CK Cemetery's website, the database. It's kind of like the mothership for us. It is, and I know I'm speaking to the choir here. You folks know this well because of all the years of interest and labor with your organization, with monuments and cemeteries and all these kind of things. So the CK Cemetery's website became our go-to, and we and even for myself, I ran a place called Bowman Funeral Home for many years downtown Chatham, and I thought I had a pretty good grasp on the cemeteries in the area. All the big ones, that's easy, and then the smaller ones, Arnold, Partoville, and then, but the more that we really dug into the CK Cemetery's website, I would just say, I had never heard of this one. Where's this? Who's that? And with the added depth of that incredible website, as much history as those fine folks have uncovered, whether they're scanned handwritten documents from board meetings from the early 1900s and on for whichever cemetery, and photos and on and on. So I thought, this is perfect. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. We made sure that we, as we would always want to do, we wanted to honor that hard work on that website. So we reached out to some contact folks connected with CK Cemetery's website, and just explained our idea and said, do you mind if we heavily use your website and your information? We'll certainly cite you all the time. And they said, yeah, go for it. That's why it's there. So we all along the way, we've wanted to be very, very respectful with people that have gone before us and done this hard work, as your organization does, with assembling archives and information, as well as even that little touch at the end of the videos. We want to never want anyone to catch a whiff that we take this lightly. These are sacred places for tens, probably hundreds of thousands of families when you put all the cemeteries together. So that little symbolic gesture at the end of every video, where we just simply give a nod and a respectful tip of the hat to say thank you for letting us be here. That's very important to us. So anyway, I not seeing any feedback. I have a bad habit of talking too much. So at any point you can flash on a picture of David Hasselhoff or something, whatever would frighten someone to get them to stop talking. But anyway, as we tried to be very organized using the website, we thought, now we're only going to be able to do so many websites because there's only so many Saturdays, and even Cemetery Saturday, that was Wes's idea. Let's call it Cemetery Saturday. I thought, yeah, that's a good nickname. But then we had another staff member that folks will see in season 2 as one of our guest hosts, Dennis Coos. He said, what about Restful Recollections? I thought, okay, that'll be good for us old folks. We like that one. And Cemetery Saturdays is for the younger folks or something, but same show, of course. But we just really just plotted out as many weeks as we could to do the filming. We're very fortunate to work at quite a busy funeral company, so we're factoring in our day-to-day busy life, serving people that have need of us here, as well as we have wives and families and all this kind of stuff. So we had this project going. So we really had to be very, very organized with the filming, the deciding where we're going, even as we're compiling filming of cemeteries, it was all plotted out on a map saying, okay, if we film at this cemetery, they're fairly close together. We could maybe get a couple done today, and then next week a few more, and we just tried to assemble them in such a way so we could, in a practical, logistical way, we could actually pull it off. And of course, we didn't want to be scrambling to edit a video for that week, so we waited till we had some in the bank. We sort of called it. We wanted to always have about 3 or 4 always ready to go in case we get stuck being really busy in our work lives. That because once we made this commitment to the public, we felt like we don't want there to be a Saturday to come along where there's no video. Yeah, you know what I mean? So we felt like we owed it to the people that were enjoying them to fulfill that mission. So we had all those factors on our mind to really make this the best effort we possibly could. And what was I going to say? We realized early on, or I did, probably Wes did too, that people are going to get pretty bored if they're just seeing my big fat head talking all the time. So that's where we thought, wait a minute, there are people connected to every single cemetery, big or small. There's some type of board of directors, or a group of people that are maybe legally connected to a cemetery. So we reached out to every cemetery anyway to certainly have their blessing or their permission to do such a thing with their cemetery. And in the process, we would track down the Jim Arnolds and the other boards of chairmans, and even the Gilberts were very, very kind to give, a bit of their time in one of the Maple Leaf Cemetery videos, where they're not connected to the cemetery, but as you guys would know the Gilberts very well, I would think their passion for local history is just incredible, and we value them for sure. So that was if you can imagine disassembling all the parts, almost like making a massive Thanksgiving meal. You had to assemble everything from the dishes to the ingredients to the who's going to do what, who's peeling this, on and on, all the way to the cleanup. So that's kind of how our series had to be organized as we kind of made our way through it. And I'm sure you guys have seen all the videos, all the way. We had so much extra little goofed ups because I'm just kind of an off the cuff, unscripted kind of person. We thought, we should maybe hang on to these and do a blooper reel at the end. So we even had a blooper reel. So we were very proud of that blooper reel. I don't know what people think I get it right the first time, because I do not. So part of the spinoff was certainly incredible blessings. Just like Cindy, how you said, we saw the videos and we wanted more. We thought, as we started catching wind that, wow, people are noticing these videos. It was great. That was such a great pat on the back, not a pat on the back, kind of a shot in the arm. That's a good shot in the arm. Think, okay, good, we're on track. People are interested to the point where CBC Radio Windsor or CBC Radio London reached out, contacted us and said, hey, are you the guys that do the cemetery show? And so there was some live interviews talking about the show. CTV Windsor Television, Chris Campbell, a colleague I've known for years, he reached out and said, hey, are you the guy doing the, yeah? And I said, yeah, we're doing the show. And so they did a great little news bit on the show. And it kind of hit all the same things we're kind of talking about people's love of cemetery. Why would we do this? And on and on. So it was just amazing how things kind of spun off like that. I had someone at church say, they said, oh, I was watching your cemetery show. And I said, oh, okay. And this person was an older person. I said something dumb like, oh, I didn't realize you were on Facebook. And they said, oh, I'm not on Facebook. I saw it on television. And I thought, uh-oh, this woman's losing her mind a little bit. And then I asked her again. She said, oh, it's on the local television. And so I looked into that, and I found out that I forget I saw the name somewhere. Your TV. It used to be Kojiko. Now it's, you guys know the name, but it's Eric Shaw. Is that his name? Eric Shaw. Anyway, he had seen the show and thought, hey, that's pretty neat. He took all the episodes and turned it into one big long multi-dynamic, all the episodes together, and they showed it regularly on television for a while. We were just amazed, and so very thankful, because I don't want anyone to think that I'm not also marketing our funeral company. You know, that we're not going to pretend like that was not also part of who we are, because we are a funeral company, and this show is brought to you by Life Transitions, and that's who we are, that's who I am, on and on and on. But we thought we have no need to do any kind of grotesque kind of, you know, we do funerals, this is, you know, some kind of a sales pitch. We thought this is very much what you call indirect marketing. We're instead of bringing you a bunch of sales stuff, we're giving you information, and we're sharing part of our passion with you guys. So yeah, it's been an interesting road that way. Absolutely.
Okay, maybe I'll turn my camera back on so you're not just talking to the wall.
Well, there you go. There you go. Yeah. Do they all leave? I'm like, okay, that's all right.
No,
okay.
I know it is tricky.
Yeah, it's kind
doing
of funny.
these presentations when you think you're just talking to, you know, a blank screen, right? There's no one there, but yeah, and yeah, you were right. It is Eric Shaw.
Eric Shaw, that's right.
Yeah, with your TV, wonderful folks over there. We've been doing some things with them as well. It's great that you have utilized the historians, the local historians.
Oh yeah.
And you've also leveraged the folks at the CK Cemetery project as well. As you say, they have a wealth of information on the headstones and the folks that are buried there, and some of the history. And it's amazing that you also reached out to, you know, other people that are connected with the other different cemeteries to involve them as well. So that's really great to see that in your video. I have a question. What was the most interesting cemetery that you visited so far? Well,
probably in season 1, and I'd been to this particular place before, but I hadn't been there in years. McVicker Cemetery, which is one of those cemeteries that if you've never been there or you've never heard of it, you would never find it, because it's kind of, you know, one of these kind of down a dirt road, past the tree, go to over here behind the barn, boom, you're in this beautiful cemetery that is it's very historic, and it's just so isolated. And when you're there, you're there. But it's that's probably one of my favorites. It's very, very peaceful, because you're out in the middle of a field surrounded by these 100-plus-year-old cedar trees. I think they're cedars or blue spruce or something like that. According to the CK Cemetery site, all of the saplings were bought for something like $18 or something, and brought from Erio and all planted around it. And they're all still there. Wow. But yeah, that'd be one of my favorites for sure.
Wow, that's interesting. So you alluded to season number 2, which made me so happy, because
good.
We were like, oh, it's done. Like, now what?
Yeah. Well, you know,
there's a season 2 coming.
Yeah, well, for sure. You know, and like I alluded to, when it's very humbling thinking like, I know cemeteries, I'm a funeral guy. The more we dug into that website, I'm thinking, there is so many. How can we just stop now? So we suddenly realized all we've done is season 1. We don't know how many seasons there'll be. So we've been doing all of that organizing the past several weeks to embark out on season 2, which will be, we're thinking about 15 more cemeteries, 15 new ones. And we're thinking, the more we've sort of tried to learn from our mistakes, things that we're always thinking about the viewer. Like, we've intentionally kept them brief, because, you know, everyone's busy. I'm a big PBS documentary fan myself, so it was hard to fight the temptation and not make all the videos much longer and tell way more history. Right. But I think the average person on social media, you know, as soon as you click on a video and you see, 47 minutes, I don't think so. Mm-hmm. You know, you move on and you lose them, you know. So we wanted these little bursts, and if that inspired people to dig in more, awesome. So yeah, we've realized that people, as you said, people want to see other people talking, other humans connected with that, people that can speak into a location or the history or all of those kind of details. So we've been assembling all of those people now, and we're very, very excited. We've made a great connection with I'm 52, so I use certain language that I used when I was a kid, but now it's always changing. I'm just going to say our First Nations brothers and sisters, I guess. Does that make sense? You know, so anyway, we've got a great contact with some of our First Nations families and we'll be exploring and taking people to some cemeteries on some of the local reserves,
Wow.
and sharing some of that history, customs, talking maybe a bit more about customs that it's interesting how Jim said, we're basically a Christian cemetery, basically is what he said. And most cemeteries around here would say, yeah, I'm actually definitely Christian based, Protestant or Catholic or whatever stripe, but on the reserves, largely a Christian feel, but a lot of their ancient customs.
Sorry, I missed that. Oops. Could you say it again, please?
Oops, there we go. I wasn't even talking to Siri. What the heck? You got to get out of my business here. So yeah, it'll be interesting to explore more things other than just these are the stones, these are the trees kind of thing. So we're excited to dig in a bit deeper and try to spread a bit wider too than just maybe our regular experience. Because I know a lot of us don't have unless you're that's your background from a First Nations perspective. This might be very, very new to a lot of people. So we're excited about that.
And that's a wonderful educational component.
Oh yeah.
That you're able to tap into. So that is very exciting.
Yeah, for sure.
Guys. That's great.
Can I just ask a question here?
Absolutely, Linda, jump in.
Okay, we have a question from Sherry, and she says, can you give us just a small hint of what we might be looking forward to for season 2? Now, you did mention about you did give us a small hint, but can you give us a little more, Jim?
Sure.
We're curious.
Yeah, for sure. And we love you guys. You guys have just carried the torch for this whole project. So yeah, I can even give you most of the list if you wanted. We're not going to try to do a secret thing. And is that the kind of thing you're looking for?
Oh, definitely.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of bees, not the insect bees, but a lot of bees in season 2, such as Bethel and Burns, Burke. Oh, there's another bee. What was the other bee? Right near Bethel. Oh my goodness, Botany. So there's a lot of bees there, and we'll be out at Stuart Cemetery. We're going to us as a company, and you guys probably know this. There's no crematorium in Chatham. And many of our client families choose cremation. So with there being no crematorium here, we go to Sarnia, as where we geographically go. So we travel this road, as you guys will know, called the Kimball. We travel it all the time. And there's a tiny little cemetery called Burns Cemetery. It's for the most part, it's an inactive cemetery, but we have people ask all the time about that cemetery. And so we're even going to go to Burns. It's a kind of a specialty one there, but oh my goodness, Blackburn we're going to be at, and out on Walpole Island. And I don't have all my notes there, but there's a good little taster there. Does anyone recognize the name Burke Cemetery?
Yes.
Okay, Burke Cemetery.
Yeah.
You're going to the beach.
Yeah.
Going to Erio. Yeah, that's a great little cemetery. Completely private too. It's many people think like, oh, maybe we'll get a grave there. A lot of people don't realize that is 100% private. Unless you're part of these 2 different clans, you're not, you're welcome there to visit, but you're not going to be buried there, kind of thing. But a lot of great stories there. And so we've got a representative from one of the families going to give us a great tour and tell us some great stories there.
So with it being private then, so this comes up with our group quite often about people going out and photographing and transcribing. So did you approach people to get permission to, have the drone flying over and to do the videos? Is that something that you pursue as well? Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, every time for sure. Because there's some cemeteries and probably for their own desire, I won't mention their names, but some cemeteries just flat out said, absolutely not. We are not okay with that. We do not want to be highlighted. We do not want a video. And we said, great, thank you so much for making it crystal clear. So yeah, it's very important. I've 20 years of being an undertaker, it's sort of like you always want to err on the side of caution with people's stories and family and whatnot. So we figure we're looking at cemeteries the exact same way. excuse me, and even sometimes with people that are close geographically, residentially around a cemetery, we're always cautious of that too, especially with a drone. We don't want people thinking they're under surveillance or, who is that? Who is looking at me? So yeah, it's critical that we would always approach the cemeteries privately and get them to give us the yay or the nay. But for the most part, I would say 99% of the cemeteries are like, wow, what a great idea. I've never thought about that. So that is an interesting thing though, Cindy, that private cemetery. And what I meant was that you and I could not call Burke and say, hey, we'd like to purchase a grave and be buried there. They'd say, sorry, no. But yet there is really no fence around the thing. You can pull off to the side of the road on Rio Road and walk up the hill and look at the stones and photograph them. I guess technically it's private property, but there is a lot of gray area with cemeteries, because they're not really caged in and all that kind of stuff. But
I think it depends on like you say, the location too.
Yeah.
I had reached out to James to get the name of your drone operator for a project in Essex County. I'm connected with the McCormick Cemetery, and it is actually smack dab in a farmer's field.
Oh, wow.
He only grants permission at certain times, obviously when the crops are off and things like that. So it is one that you need to have permission from the farmer. And
Sure. Yeah.
back there. So there are those odd cemeteries that,
Yeah.
People just don't want you walking on their property, but
Sure. Makes sense.
Yeah. So Linda, I'm sorry. I think I cut you off when you were asking something else.
Well, I was just going to say that you made one of our participants extremely happy. Mary Lou said, yay, you're going to botany.
Yeah. It's one of those ones. If you don't know where it is, if you've never heard of it, you'd never find it, because the Botany Church is long gone. I think the building itself is long gone, I believe.
Well, I know when we were talking, you and I, before of this, I had said, that I really find it interesting because you have found places that I never knew existed.
Oh, great.
But once that you've mentioned them, then I've started to look into them. So I know I can't be the only one.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. I think Linda, you and I are both, we consider ourselves, we're both normal people, but we're both a little off center, and that's good. That's good because it makes us interesting. But I think a lot of people, as we saw from the response from the show, that whether people realize it or not, they're interested in these things.
Well, I wanted you to also know that I did contact Eric Shaw, and I also contacted the mayor's office over what you were doing, and I made a few wonderful suggestions that not only Ontario ancestors enjoyed it, but it was amazing the people that you talked to and are now interested in genealogy.
Yeah, well, for sure. Yeah, talk about what would you say and as far as genealogy, cemeteries, that's what they are. It's like this archive of thousands of families and the stones. The more information that used to be on others, like in past generations, where you'd have, James MacNeil died of this on, and just all the extra details that kind of fell out of fashion to put all that on a stone nowadays. But very interesting that you see how the cultural shifts as you look through the history of the stones, or even child mortality always strikes me. We go to any cemetery, there's always the old section. And if you look in the oldest section, half of the graves are children, yes. which today would, when a child dies today, it is so earth shattering, as it should be, but mostly because we've come so far with medicine and science and prenatal and on and on and on, that 100 years ago, children dying was so common that life like hung by a thread 100 years ago, where now we've got almost everything beat. Think of like premature babies being born like way premature, and they make it. It's incredible. So I love that history thread that goes through every single cemetery.
I also have a message here that says, can you consider doing the night cemetery?
Well,
it's not too far from Botany, she says.
The night cemetery?
Yes, she said the night cemetery is a wonderful one. I hope you do. It's not too far from Botany, up
Huh.
on a hilltop.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. That one doesn't ring a bell. We've sort of picked what we picked, and then we've just really focused in on those. But you know what that person just did happened all last year. People would chime in on Facebook and they'd say, "Oh, my grandmother's there," or "We used to go there," or people would say like that, "Hey, check out this cemetery." And so we yeah, that's we've learned a lot just from the viewers and the fans. So Night Cemetery, make a note of that. I'm sure it's on CK Cemeteries. They seem to got a handle on pretty much every burial place in the area. That's for sure.
Yeah, they do some really great work there, restoration and preservation, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
You know, there was an interesting, and I always get his name wrong. Last name was Shackle.
Skakel, John Skakel.
The Skakel, right? And that you recognize it because you corrected me there. That name is all through that site. And I was speaking to the Sunrise Rotary Club last summer, and they wanted to be, you know, creative because with COVID they're not meeting at Smitty's. They said, "Hey," they said, we'd like you to speak to our group and talk about the cemetery show." I said, "Great. Where do you want to meet?" And they said, "Well, we've been meeting here, meeting there." I said, "Why don't we just meet right at the mausoleum?" And so we met right on the front lawn of the old mausoleum at Maple Leaf. It was awesome. But as we're talking, you know, we kind of shared in this and then broke up and shaking hands and high fives and see you later. And as I'm walking right on the front lawn of the old mausoleum, that's Mr. Say his name again.
Skakel.
Skakel.
Yeah.
His grave is right there.
Right.
Yeah, I thought, like, wow, wow. There he is, right there. It's incredible.
Yeah, that was his passion. That whole website was his
yeah,
initiative, and just it was his life's work.
Yeah.
So
Well, and what an amazingly powerful legacy that he has left that in the age of information. It's there. It's there that none of those hours were wasted. That's beautiful.
Absolutely. We had him speak to us quite a few years ago, and he brought his rods, his finding
right.
rods.
He was one of those guys. Okay.
Oh yeah, and he gave us a demonstration, and he was fantastic. He dowsing rods, I guess they're called, right?
Yeah. They have a few different names.
Yeah. He was very, very good and very passionate. So he was a lovely man.
Yeah. Well, that's incredible. There's a few cemetery guys that I know, because sometimes a family needs to be activate one of their graves. They haven't been there in a long time, and older cemeteries, they weren't as organized as today. And so someone comes up with the rods. Usually what they mean is they're just going to push down the rods and find the caskets. But some guys like that, the divining rods, or I've heard them called witching rods and all kinds of things. But it's amazing.
I also have a question that someone's asking: what is the oldest gravestone that you have seen in Chatham-Kent?
Geez.
Would it be any of the ones off of Grand Ave?
Off of Grand Ave. You mean at the Thamesview Lodge Cemetery?
Yes.
Well, the tricky thing is the dates are really kind of sketchy there. There's a I don't recall any of them being that old. Like as far as I'm thinking, I was at St. Thomas Anglican, which we're going to do this season, and I noticed there was one. It was 1836 or something like that, and that was quite an old one. But they kind of blur together a little bit. The early 1800s definitely, or some of the earlier stones, the dates that I've seen for sure.
And if you think about that, that's when that person, died, was in the early 1800s.
Yeah.
So if they had any length of a life, they were born in the 1700s.
Yeah, incredible.
That's crazy.
That's even before Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I often think those things. I think you look at those dates thinking, what was their life like? And just incredible.
It even jumpstarts you into thinking about history, not just what their life was as genealogists, but we're always looking for the history to go along with that and what was happening you know, in Kent County at that time, what would have influenced their lives? What did they see? You
Yeah.
know, what was going on in that time? So that's what we always say, genealogy and history go hand in hand, right? So
Oh, 100%, 100%.
so important. Yeah, it's so
Yeah,
interesting.
I think that's why I'm always fascinated by the work you guys do, because the thing is just like that. Thinking, you know, when that person passed away, what were people reading? What was on the front page of the newspaper? Like, because there was world events just like today. Like there was things happening in Egypt at the same time, but you didn't get news like that. You know weeks later. So you know news came through telegram, and yeah, just incredible.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you mentioned about the headstones and how much information at one time was pretty much a given. You could go there and find out they were from, you know, Ireland or Scotland, and you know, when they immigrated and who the whole family was.
Yeah.
So, and we also find that in obituaries, they almost follow that same line. Nowadays, they're very short and to the point, where before, you know, previously there were, you know, so much information, the
Right.
whole life of the person. So
Yeah.
the obituaries are another, as the headstones, the obituaries hand in hand are such a great resource if you can find them, you know, far enough back.
Yeah, for sure.
Is there any other questions, Linda?
No, so far it's kind of quiet. I think Jim's hit all the
There you go.
all the stones.
When you talk as much as I do, you can pretty much get it all done. Yeah.
So I put the link for your Facebook group so people can, you know, grab that link and they can go and watch all the seasons 1's videos, and especially the bloopers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I quite enjoyed the one where you had asked your son to move some stones around in the backyard.
Oh, right.
And when you went out there, what he did with your backyard, that was hilarious.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that. I was so proud of him that he stuck it out and got it all done. I'm like, why would you line them up like that? That was like, oh, I just want them to dry. Like, wow, that's I said, because it's funny because I even said it looks like a cemetery. He goes, oh, I didn't notice. I'm like, oh, geez, teenage boys.
In his blood, though.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
I do have one question. When will the series restart, James?
Well, we had a whole bunch of kind of snags and whatnot. We're really hoping for about mid-June for the first episodes to come out. But things have been coming together well this week, so hopefully before that. So we didn't want to officially, you know, nail ourselves down to a date just yet, but we're hoping mid-June, the first episodes. But like I mentioned earlier on, it's important for us with our busy life to have several ready to go, so we just kind of schedule them. You tell your Facebook page, okay, at this point and this time, so we can have them going. So we're always got a buffer, so we're never scrambling to let the fans down. You can't let the fans down. So yeah, that's a long.
I also have a message that says that you are being watched from California. You're being watched from Vancouver, BC, and thank you very much for everything that you do.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, thank those people for watching. I'm so glad. This is great.
So we sort of are falling into that same quandrum, if you want to say, with the Zoom presentations. We used to meet in person in Chatham.
Right.
Our membership is from all across, as you just heard, California and wherever. Yeah. So now that we have been doing Zoom presentations, we have been allowing many more of our members and the public to join basically from all over the world.
Well, that's great.
So now we're into the predicament of what do we do post-COVID? You know, right. So we want to give the people what they want, basically, is what you were saying.
Yeah, right.
In the situation, we will have to consider that as well, you know. So it's
well, and this whole crazy year and a half or so, we've all really been forced to sharpen up some skill or learn some skills technology wise. So who knows? Yeah, you could factor in some of these new skills into post-COVID meetings where you're live streaming or something, and still people can chime in or something. But
yeah. Oh yeah, it has been a huge learning curve, as you say, with your program or your little project you're doing. A huge learning, because I'm 50, just like you are, and the technology I've learned in the last year has been amazing.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, it hasn't all been bad this year.
Right.
So
there's been some good things come out of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's good. Okay, is there any other questions? I think our main question was, how did you do it? What made you do it? And are you going to keep on doing it? And you've answered all three of those questions.
Excellent. Good.
So that was wonderful. Linda, are there any more questions?
No, everything seems to be, I got one from Ottawa that said, thank you very much.
Excellent.
I was gonna say, I think everybody's pleased. Oh,
Good. Oh,
somebody says hi from Los Angeles.
Wow,
all
Oh,
right.
and do you have a few pioneer cemeteries that would benefit? I don't know what that means.
That would benefit. Oh, to do a couple? Yeah.
Yeah,
Nothing comes to mind, but I'm sure there's. Yeah, we're gonna be in North Buxton. I know there's some really great history at the cemeteries there, so that they go back to pioneer times ish. But yeah, I don't. Nothing comes to mind, but we'll keep our eyes out.
Mhm.
get out that little checklist.
Yeah, that's right.
So I guess the best way that if people want to communicate with you would be to stay tuned to those videos coming up, and then to make a comment or make
Yeah.
a reaction. And that way, it sounds like you look at them, the comments.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, feedback is critical for sure. We read every single comment. We try to get back to everyone, and some people have just gone right around the comments and sent private emails and whatnot.
Okay.
We're getting ourselves better educated with YouTube. We have a YouTube channel like you guys do, but we have 33 subscribers. You have over 100, so we got to do whatever you're doing to. So our Facebook, it's funny with social media. We'll have a say any particular one of the cemetery videos would have 14,000 views, and on YouTube would have 4.
Mhm.
So we haven't figured that out just yet. So, but we're working on that now to let more of the world enjoy these. So
Yeah, and it's a nice place to archive them, but whatever social media platform you're using,
yeah,
they are being archived and they are available to the public. So I don't think it really matters which you use.
yeah, for
You're
sure.
getting it out there, and
Yeah.
people obviously are loving them, and wanting more. So that's wonderful. That
Yeah,
you've
awesome.
embraced that technology, and
Yeah.
you turned on a dime like a lot of us did, and you
Yeah.
provided something else, a different service that people obviously were craving, and it's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, kudos to your whole team.
All right.
Okay, well, we won't keep anybody too much longer. It's still daylight here where we are, so there's still time
Yeah.
to get inside for a bit if you want. And again, thank you, James, for coming and sitting down and having a chat with us. That was wonderful. And as I say, we appreciate the work you're doing on these videos. I know it takes a lot of time, a lot of commitment, and your whole team. Please thank them for us. We will be looking forward to season 2. And yeah, have a good night. And I don't know if you have anything that you want to close out with, or.
Well, just like I started, we all, our whole team here salutes your team and all the folks that are driven to look into the past, to understand who we are, and I just love that whole dynamic. So thanks so much for noticing us, and we're all kind of together in this whole human experience journey together. So this is great. We salute all of you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you
Okay.
very much. As you say, we're a community, so that's wonderful. We're pleased to have you, as part of our community as well. So thank you so much.
Right on. Okay,
And
take care.
Thank you. We'll sign off now, everybody, and we'll take care of this. Have a good week.
Night.
Night, everybody.